Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, today we're going to talk about how the MAGA Republicans are trying to force the first U.S. default on debt in the first time in American history. Now, as you can tell by the graphic, first off, a default would mean the loss of almost 7 million jobs in America, literally overnight. Millions of people would be laid off. Millions of people would no longer be able to feed their families. Millions of businesses would have to shut down. Your local mom and pop shops, all gone. All it would take is them to let this default happen. Now let's get into it a little bit more on actually what's going on here. Okay, ever since 2010, when the Tea Party Republicans came to power, remember these are exactly the exact same people. The Tea Party, the MAGA Republicans, same group of people, and they once again want to hijack the American economy so they can instill their fascist values. That's their goal. That is their plan. Let America default on their debt, then they'll scapegoat the LGBTQ community, the immigrant community, and all sorts of other people in order to install a fascist government regime. Now, I'm not mincing words here. That is their goal. First off, they want to get rid of the infrastructure plan, and that was bipartisan, supported by Republicans and Democrats in both chambers of Congress. That's actually done a lot to help America, help American businesses, and help get the country going again. It's also reduced inflation by almost 4%. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Now, the Republicans and their limit grow plan, right? It doesn't do any, they don't really state explicitly what they want to cut. They just call it general cuts. But let's talk about what they've talked about in interviews and things like that they want to cut. People like Kevin McCarthy, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene want to cut 50% from Medicare, 50% from Medicaid, 50% from food stamp WIC and other nutrition programs. And they want to make 50% cuts in TANF. These are things they want in order to not have a default on our debt for the first time in American history. These are the kind of cuts they want. They want to send people back to the poorhouse, back where they're having to go stand in line for soup kitchens. Even those people who at this moment are barely scraping by and not having to take money from people or to take food from people who need it more than they do. Because there are people out there who need food banks, that need help from the food banks. By taking away these food stamps from people and taking away WIC, you're not only going to hurt adults, you're going to hurt children, expecting mothers. This is the same party that says that you shouldn't have an abortion, that you should just get help raising your child. But then they want to cut the only program that helps with that. They want to cut down on WIC, make it harder for you to get and serve fewer people using it, and make cuts to what you can, on the amount of money spent on it. But what would a default mean? Well, in the end, it would mean that the government is no longer functioning. The government is not doing its job. The government is not doing some of the basic things that a government is supposed to do. One of those things is maintain their public debt. They racked this shit up, and now they want us to pay for it. Things that would stop functioning after a default. SSI checks, gone. Social Security checks, gone. Food stamps, gone. WIC, gone. Medicare, gone. Medicaid, gone. All things the government would no longer be able to fund because they would no longer have the money to do so. They say they want these massive cuts in spending. Well, how about you start with that $2.2 trillion tax cut from 2017 to the billionaire class? How about you make them pay their fair share? Because as we've learned, tax cuts do nothing to help the economy. Republicans do it because there's a small jolt for a few months after the tax cut, and then it goes right back to the same stalemate that it was before. You cannot rely on tax cuts for growth. The only people that can push the growth are the consumers. And if we don't have the money to buy stuff, all those businesses go broke. The joys of capitalism. Now, this time, I have no hope. This has happened before. We've come down to the wire before. But if you notice, Republicans only do this when a Democrat's in office. Did you hear one time during the 3 times it was raised during the Trump administration that the debt ceiling couldn't be raised? Did you hear that one time from Republicans? No, you didn't. You know why you didn't hear from Republicans? Because they don't really care about the national debt. We wouldn't be spending $1.2 trillion on defense if they really cared about the debt. And this is also the same crowd that believes in law and order, right? Their planned cuts that they want to make would cut 30,000 police officers, would cut over 50,000 teachers. So does this sound like a good idea? I don't know what's worse, the draconian cuts they want to make, or the default that would happen that would wipe out America. We would literally become a third world country in the matter of months. Not hyperbole. Inflation would skyrocket to 30, 40% possibly. You would have the poor protesting in the streets because they can't eat. We would literally look like Soviet Russia, where you wait in line for hours just to get a loaf of bread. Is that the America they want? Sure. Because the rich people, it won't hurt them. What this is about punishing the poor and the working class. That's what this is about. This is class warfare. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.